It's a Saturday, and I'm getting a bit of luck. My wife took the kids to a craft fair and said, "Hey, you stay behind and do something you want to do." So I'm down in the cave. I made myself a cup of coffee because I was out shoveling, because that was kind of the one thing I had to do before I got to do this. And I'm down here, and got a project to work on. Board games, role-playing games, assembling and painting models and miniatures. These are my hobbies. I'm Howard Blues, one half of the popular podcast Beer, Blues, and BS. And now join me as I rebuild my cave of one. Hey everybody, Howard Blues. Welcome back to Howard's Cave of Wonder. I've been trying to get things a bit more organized and such. And so I've started a project, and one of those projects is to take and hang up all of the blister packs I have in my cave. One of the neat things about the cave that was great when we bought the house was that the past owner had put up some pegboard wall. And so I always knew this was going to be great because I always have models that come in blister packs, and it'd be really nice to be able to put them somewhere. They're difficult to stack in boxes and things like that. And as more come in, it just becomes a bigger and bigger problem. So I went out and I bought some pegs. I bought some long ones so that I could store a lot of stuff on it. However, Menards mislabeled some, so not all my hooks are the same size. I should have looked. Partially it's because I bought some, and then I'm like, I'm gonna need more. And I went back and I bought what I thought was the same size because the labels are the same. But and what I mean they're the same, it's like, oh yeah, these are 10-inch pegs. Well, no, some of them actually are like 12-inch pegs, but I'm going to make it work. It's not worth returning over that. I'll just put some of the bigger stuff on it. And so I thought I would just document kind of, hey, here's what I'm finding and what I'm putting up, and I'm going about organizing it. So here I am in the cave, and what you can see here are all of the pegs that I managed to pick up. There's kind of two walls of it, but you can see that down here I have the smaller hooks. I put the longer hooks up top, being that they are longer. I figured better to put stuff up there higher, especially if it's going to be a lot of stuff. Now, what all do I need to get on there? Great question. I got 4 real boxes. This one's mostly Reaper, but there's some other things. Some more Reaper. Here, a lot of War Machine Hordes, Privateer Press figures, Infinity, some others. But then I also have over here more War Machine Hordes, Riot Quest figures, and that's not it. Oh, if I come in here, we got more Monpok, we got War Machine, and who knows what other. Well, look, there's some more right there. So, plenty of stuff that could be hung up and out of the way. Look, here's some Relic Knights. So a lot of things to try and figure out where to go and how to make use of these hooks. And while there is still room, I'm hoping to fit a majority of stuff there. I also just know, because I have the door, I'm going to have some issues. In fact, I might even move that hook because I think that's going to be a bit of a problem. I have a table down here. My plan is to start box by box, putting them on the table and sorting them into some sort of semblance of order, and then we'll put them up there. And can I do it? How long is it going to take? I don't know. But we'll see. So while the computer is loading up, because I'm trying to do my whole webcam setup, but let me talk about something else. So normally when it comes to storing Reaper miniatures, especially the bones miniature, I usually just make do with a box, especially the unpainted stuff. So in here you'll see a box, and it's just loosely packed figures. The nice thing is it takes up very little space. The only downside is I've never really sorted these out. I just kind of fit things in. So unfortunately that means, like, hey, if I was trying to find a particular miniature, I might have a hard time. Like, why on earth would the were-shark guy be in the Dark Reach cave expansion? So that's always been an issue. And one of the things that I started doing, so talk about another project that I haven't started, I started emptying out some of the Reaper boxes and started kind of sorting a little bit. Hopefully going to sort them into an order that makes sense, and then put them into boxes that make sense, so I can find things a little bit easier. But I've kind of started that project. I didn't really record it. A couple of other things of kind of note. I have to make a decision, and I haven't decided yet, and I hope that by sorting I'll figure it out. But a lot of times when I have miniatures like these, where it is a full miniature, there's no pieces, it's just the miniature, my preference has always been to pull them out of the packaging and throw them into a box, get them out of the way. I don't know if I want to do that or not, because part of the thing then is a lot of times that I don't know what the name of the figure is, and if I ever wanted to post it, I'd have to look it up. I'd have to try and find it and figure out what it is. So that'll be a question, and it might be the reason why I handle all the Reaper stuff last, because they're kind of the biggest ones for that. So there's that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is sometimes with all the collecting I've done, I have ended up with duplicates. It happens. What do I do with them? Glad you asked. I've always had people that I've been teaching to paint. Whether it's gaming buddies, my nephew I taught how to paint, things like, and I'm hoping one day my son, he likes to paint big things. He hasn't gotten into little miniatures yet, but eventually I have a feeling, because Dad does it, he's going to want to do it. So one of the things I have, kind of hiding behind this box, is this box here. And in it are duplicate figures. So, hey, I have a duplicate of something, I throw it in that box. And that is my box that anybody who ever wants to learn to paint or things like that, if they were to come to me, I tend to direct them to that box and go, hey, pick something out of here. Start with that. One, it's a little on the greedy side for myself, because some of these things are cool and it's like, I want to paint these. You know, there's that part of it. But two, it's okay, because then I know it's a duplicate model. I know I have another one like it in my collection somewhere. So, and it's a great way to handle, because sometimes I forget that I've purchased certain models. So, but that does happen. In fact, this Cynthia the Wicked figure, which came as part of the Boo bag in this year's Reaper, I ended up with two of them because they sent one with my November order. So I have two. In that case, she goes into the box. So one of the ways that I kind of handle duplicates. But one of the other things I'll probably do every now and then is maybe stop and talk about some of the things that are in these boxes, because there's some interesting things. I've been collecting miniatures now for well over 10 years. I got a lot, and I got some cool pieces. So maybe I'll stop every now and then, but let's get to work. First things first. When trying to decide where to start with organizing something along these lines, and I mean, as I said, 4 boxes plus other little things here and there. One of the big things that I kind of try to consider is, what do I have the most of? And I have actually surprisingly a lot of War Machine and Hordes figures from Privateer Press. Mostly because I have subscribed to their mini crate since the very beginning, so I have a lot of their mini crate figures, along with some of the troop sticks. So I'm trying to figure out how to start this. I decided to start with what I have the most of. Because I have that, I have some shelves there, there's some Grimkin in that box. So I'm gonna start by using the table I have here, pulling stuff out, sorting it, probably by faction is what I'm gonna do. And such, and then I will probably choose to start somewhere up top. I still got to move one hook, so I'm gonna just kind of pull that out now. All right, let's take a drink. Start the sorting. So one box down, and just an interesting note. You can see the different kind of factions motion, but you see these in the middle. These are all the mini crate models, and what you might notice is that some have the card in them and some don't. The reason is I pulled the cards out of the early ones. One, because I did take some of these out of their packages and pack them away. But the other reason is I always had this thought that it'd be kind of fun to take these cards, which really just tell you, the mini name, their number, the year, and just some information. But I always thought it'd be fun to just shuffle them up like a deck of cards, and then pick one and have that be the mini that I paint for the month. I never have gotten around to it, but just to kind of even give you, I do love these mini crate minis just because they're so characterful. They just make me laugh, make me happy, and all of that. So just kind of, so that's why I have the cards for some of them here and such. But on to more. This isn't all War Machine and Hordes. It's mostly the mini crates, but it's a start. And there we have it. That's War Machine and Hordes. And this is by no means all. These is just kind of anything that I could hang. They're the blisters. I do have other like starter sets and such, but this will take a huge chunk off the shelf. If you're paying attention and you know this, you've probably seen that there's a ton of Convergence of Chris miniatures in these piles. Part of the reason for that is Privateer Press did a couple of mystery boxes and I purchased in, and that's what I ended up with. So it's, in a sense, it gives me a lot of different stuff, but I ended up with 2 Convergence of Chris, so I have a fairly strong Convergence of Chris army if I ever paint it up. So now that I have them sorted here loosely, I've done better sortings. The next step is to take and put them out there. I kind of decided I'm going to start with probably the things I have the most, which is probably the mini crate. I'll start here and kind of work my way, and then maybe dive into some of the armies. It's kind of my thought. Or maybe actually I'll start with armies, now that I think about it. And put Convergence of Chris, because I'll probably fill those 2 armies, and then maybe a lot of the mini crate will end up over on this wall. So let's start, and of course, as I said, we're starting with Convergence of Chris. Okay, so I didn't get very far, and I've already hit a snag, which is always a hit. And that snag is that I hung these hooks what I thought was high enough, but they're not. This is rubbing against here, which means that sliding anything onto this hook is not going to work as well. So I either need to move all of these hooks up one, or I need to move all these other ones down. And so that's, I guess, the next thing is that I really don't want to go too much higher. Just kind of thinking about it and thinking about my reach. You know, it gets a little bit tougher, but that might actually be the best, is for me to move all of those up one. One should do it. So, like any project and any good project, sometimes you have to rethink. But part of the issue is I'm kind of short, so I gotta go grab a stool before I can do that. Okay, so that's all of the privateer press stuff. There's a bit of me that wants to jump into the Reaper stuff, but I think my next step is to do just some of the miscellaneous. So I have some things here like Star Wars Legion Barricade Pack, a couple of Relic Knight figures I picked up on super clearance, so that, and then I'm a box of stuff. So here's my plan. I'm gonna dive into this box of stuff, sort things out, figure out a great way to put them, and then move them to the rack. So not a whole lot. That was kind of in that loose miscellaneous. As it's some Star Wars Legion barricades, some Relic Knights, a couple of Batman figures, a bit of Infinity, some Guild Ball stuff. Not that I ever played Guild Ball, but I just like some of their figures. Some King's War stuff, some Black Water Gulch. They had one of the few ever Bison Minotaur guys, so that was just kind of cool. Some Airship Pirates, which this was a Kickstarter I backed a long time ago, and some Grebo Games miniatures. So I'm going to take these, and basically I'm just going to dedicate one hook to the miscellaneous, and kind of fill that up with there. So let's switch to that. All right, so miscellaneous miniatures up, privateer press up. This really just leaves me with kind of 3 boxes of Reaper miniatures. And looking at what I have left for hooks, I have 5 hooks in which to put miniatures on. And so here's my plan. I'm going to sort the Reaper miniatures, and what I'm going to sort them into is really 2 things. Whole miniatures, so miniatures that it's all one piece, and parts miniatures. My goal is to get all the parts miniatures up here because those are the ones I need to really kind of keep together so I don't lose parts. Anything that's a whole miniature, I think is going to come out of the blister pack and go into one of the boxes of bones, and that's my strategy. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the next part. Let's sort some bones.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer Blues MBS, the podcast whose warm-up music was not brought to you by a DJ suffering from ADHD.
Well, all right. I'm gonna call this project complete. So let's take a look at. So there, look at all of that. Yep, pegboard filled. I mean, there's still some room for potential future. I mean, I wish there were things like these gaps that I didn't have. I have some room here for more mini crate as that comes out. One thing I will say is there some things like I have all these Riot Quest blisters, and truthfully what I really should look at doing is taking these models, taking them out, assembling them, and adding them to the Riot Kit starter packs, and basically shrink down on the space, because I mean Riot Quest is taking up 1, 2, 3, 4, well, kind of 4. Really should. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these hooks, and that's probably enough space where I could fit in all of these Reaper miniatures. So, looking at it, it's really kind of clear to me that the best thing for me to do is not to do what I had originally thought, which was go through these individual ones that are whole figure, separate them and put them in a box, because there may be room for them to go on a hook if I do some groundskeeping and shrinkage and get some of this stuff down to a more suitable state. I mean, this is a lot of packaging for a single figure with that monster puck big. So there's some work to be done. One other kind of interesting discovery, you might have seen it if you were the time lapse, but I found this box of Hordes figures. At least I thought it was Hordes figures, but on close inspection, it's actually a bunch of other models that I had primed and prepped, like this guy riding a giant tick, which is awesome. But I've thrown in here, so I'm gonna have to go through and sort this out as part of my trying to fix a mistake of just packing things away. I think that one was actually all the stuff that was on my desk before I moved, and then or back to Bismarck, and so I think it was just kind of a I need to put stuff somewhere. So yeah, so last step, and I'm not gonna bother recording it. I'm gonna put all these Reaper figures into this box and call it good. My wife texted, they're on their way back, so I've done all I can do with the time that I have, and so it is time for me to wrap this up so I can go spend time with my family. But the weekend's still young. Who knows what else I'll get done, but it's been productive. I'm feeling good. It's nice having so much of this up and displayed and such, and I looking forward to actually painting some stuff here as I continue to make progress in the cave. All right, with that, thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of Howard's Cave of Wonder. It's always great to have you down here in the cave with me. I'm going to continue to try and push out some of these videos and get some of this content out, because you know, it's fun and people seem to like it. So there's that. If you ever do want content that's different than the hobby stuff, maybe you just need something in the background while you're doing your own painting or project, there's always our main show, Beer, Blues, and BS, the show I do with my good friend Mark Kidder. It's the two of us sitting down, drinking some beer, telling stories, talking about what we're watching, what we're doing, just kind of getting caught up. But it's one of those shows. It was designed and still is like you're sitting around a good table with friends having a good time, and that's the attitude we try to keep with that. So please check that out. You can find out more at beerbluesbs.com or our Facebook page, or apparently our Instagram, which is blowing up. Thanks, Kidder. With that, I'm Howard Blues, and we'll see you down here in the cave again soon.